Hey guys, coming up on this week's episode, I sit down with my buddy Joe Whiting. If you don't remember him because it's been a while since he's been on, longtime homebrewer, accomplished musician, recently published author, but more importantly, he's my friend. I think you're going to enjoy the chat that we had talking about the history of homebrewing for him, how it's changed since the 70s, and what he thinks about the current state of the industry. So stay tuned. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you know you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. You could email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. But even better, call it in to 325-305-6107. We love hearing your voice. Last week with Lorena, I brought some voicemails back. I would love to bring more back. I've got a bank. I've got a database of them, but I could always use more. I am your host, Joshua Stubing. I'm so excited for today. My good buddy, I cannot believe it's almost been 5 years since we've had him on. Mr. Whiting, Joe, my friend. Let me read the intro that I wrote for you. Joe Whiting is a longtime homebrewer, accomplished recording artist, published author, and good friend of the show. I'm embarrassed I couldn't memorize just that one little part. Joe, how are you doing, my friend?
So to see you.
Dude, it is so good to see you. I think the audio popped in and out, but you're there. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I hear you just fine too. We're good. Never mind. I'll blame it on equipment failure. If people are listening, before someone comments to me like, hey, you messed up editing the audio at the beginning. Yeah, I know. Anyways, Joe, you're looking good. What a good hat on that hat. You come ready.
That's one of my favorite hats, Josh.
We were talking before recording. You got that hat a few years ago, or a couple years ago, but I think Todd and I had those made maybe 7 or 8. And the reason we had so many left, like over the years, is because when Todd does things, when he was ready to make glassware, well, no, that's a bad example. We cheaped out on the amount we made for those, but hats and shirts, I'd be like, well, Todd, I mean, I think in the immediate we could probably get 50 of them out the door or whatever. And he was like, but the price break at 1,000 is really good. So we were drowning in Homebrew Happy Hour hats. But anyways, it looks good on you. And dude, I love the shirt. And I'm going to say those are magazines. I don't think they're comics. Monsters magazines.
They're magazines, all boarded and bagged. This is the crypt down here. I've got the cigars in the background and the Lost Weekend. So we're ready for everything.
Dude, what a setup. I love that. Now, you're up in New York and
yes, Central New York.
You've got a basement. When I was in St. Louis, they called it their downstairs. It was a basement. I am jealous of basements. I don't think we can have them in Central Texas because the limestone. Like I think it would be astronomically expensive. But I am super jealous of basements. What is the average temp? I'm assuming, are basements like garages? Do you keep them temperature controlled, or are they just?
I've got a couple of dehumidifiers, but it's usually between 60 maybe in the winter to up to mid 70s in the summer, sometimes a little cooler, so it's pretty good. It's pretty constant.
So you can age beer in there comfortably. I say
and that's what I used to do before refrigeration. I mean, I used to treat the kegs like just a big bottle that you're putting in the corner, until it's ready to drink.
Now, for clarification, so people know, he means before he put refrigeration down there. You're not old enough to wear. Come on, Joe. I know you just had a birthday. Yeah, like before fire was made, what we used to do, kids. No, and I'm kidding. But you did have a birthday. You did have a birthday recently, and I don't believe you. You said you turned 78.
Turned 78 March 19th. Yeah.
I don't believe you, dude.
And I'm still homebrewing and I still love it.
I know you do. We talked. We will talk on social media and stuff. We message. And you're always, what I appreciate about you the most is the things that you're enthusiastic about, or the hobbies you're into, you are all in. Like, you're very much, you're dedicated to it. And the music is the career, not a hobby. But I just mean, I always admire, like, you're still gigging. You are still actively playing, man.
Go figure. Yeah, I mean, I've cut back way back because right now I just do if it's creative and fun. I get to sing with the orchestra, I get to sing with my band and with a couple of my friends. So if it's fun, I'm in. But if not, I'll stay down in the basement and make some beer.
That's right, dude. That's the life. That's what I'm gonna show my wife this interview and go, babe, two things. One, I'm increasing my brewing, but two, I'm getting the band back together. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
I did make that joke with her. We were watching our middle child in her band. She's in percussion and she's so
Oh,
good.
nice.
Both my daughters, my older two, are just exceptional musicians, and I love it. But we were watching it, and I like to joke about my current situation. I don't mind being unemployed. I hang out with my pop, and I'm like, look at us, a couple of retired guys. Look at us. But we were watching my middle child's band play, and I was telling my wife, babe, don't think I'm having a midlife crisis, but I want to get the band back together. And she was like, what? And I go, no, not the rock band I had. I'm talking about, I'm calling up my middle school friends. We're getting the instruments out. I'm dusting off the French horn. We're playing Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Yeah, I'm getting the band back together. Anyway, if you haven't noticed, ever since the last time I've had on Todd and James, I'm not being able to be reined in. So I apologize when I digress. But one thing I do want to get out of the way before we go too far and catching up with you and what you've been up to, I have a little bit of small talk, and it'll be super quick because today that we're recording this, friends, is April 1st. No April Fools or whatever, but I don't have a slide for the announcement for this month for the recipe kit. I'm shipping out today the Pliny the Elder kit. So, but I wanted to announce that April's kit will be a Boston Lager. Now, I don't have a slide for it because I just got back from St. Louis. I've been busy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm lazy, first and foremost. But the Boston Lager from Sam Adams, I've been reaching out to them. This might be the first commercial kit this year, Joe. I don't get an interview. They're big timing me. They're not replying to my emails. When I call, it's a knowledge tree thing. No, it's not a real human. Like, thank you for calling Samuel Adams Brewing, Boston Beer. Blah, 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 blah. But I have 30 days to keep pestering them. Something about squeaky wheel, get the grease. So, but I did want to tell people we are definitely shipping that out. And even if I don't have an interview, the recipe is solid. I'm totally prepared for that with the hops and stuff. Thanks to our sponsors, Hops Direct, Cellar Science, Brewer's Friend, Monster Brewing Hardware, and all of them for keeping this thing going, and all the fantastic members at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Could not do what we do without you. Brew Day Live, also don't have a slide for that, but it's going to probably be Friday, April 24th at 10 a.m. Central. My pop is going to watch this and go, oh, you decided a date without asking me? Yeah, sorry, Pop, whenever you see that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be Friday, April 24th. I'm excited. I like Boston Lager. I think it's a smooth drinking beer. If we do it in Texas right now in late April, that last Friday, and I lager it until it gets real hot, like June, July, August, it's going to be just chef's kiss of a perfect beer to have after that. So next week, guys, I'll be more prepared with slides and all that. But again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Come join a recipe receiving tier and come brew with us. We appreciate all the support. And if you're watching this at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification, all that stuff, I'm told, helps us with the algorithm. Boom. That was quick, right? That was quick.
Very quick.
I'm getting quicker. Joe, you have been brewing. I know you're 78, but you've also started in 1978, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's when you started brewing. Remind the people, what got you even into brewing? Because homebrewing, it wasn't, I mean, when did Charlie even write that book? I don't even remember.
Yeah, exactly. I would say send the children in the other room so they don't get shocked because there was no internet. There was no, there was no Google. There was no AI. So when you wanted to learn something, you literally, it was in a magazine. And that's how in some magazine, I saw a little ad for, you want to make beer? And it's send for the catalog. There's no such thing as getting online and whatever. Send for and I did. And in fact, listen to this. If you take care of your equipment, I made a smash just last month, using the original plastic fermenter that I had in 1979.
Stop.
Came out beautiful. It came out beautiful. But again, things that I got into it so heavy, but at the time, all grain, that seemed like science. It seemed like math. It seemed like way beyond. So, like everybody, go upstairs to the kitchen, take a can of, and it was Muntenfeisen at the time before it became Muntins. It was Muntenfeisen, hopped light extract, 4 cups of corn sugar, and the next day when I saw that bubbler working, man, I was hooked. I was hooked. I was hooked ever since.
Dude, it's always a satisfying feeling. You know, my pop and I did a brew day live yesterday. I didn't announce it good enough, apparently, because I did have to change it last minute because I got a lot of messages on Instagram like, brew day live on a Tuesday? And I was like, guys, my dad and I don't have jobs. Like, this is my life now. But I get into my office this morning and I appreciate your time for doing this in the morning too, by the way.
I'm a
It
morning
helps
guy.
me out with my schedule. Yeah, I'm a morning guy too. But the smell and the visuals of the fermenting, like right now, I've got that Pliny the Elder clone fermenting in our Firmzilla from Kedland. We did a 5-gallon batch, and so obviously there's a ton of headspace. But as soon as I open the door, recognize that smell and go over and move the cover over, and I'm seeing all the yeast. It never gets old. It never gets old. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. This episode is brought to you by Cellar Science. For years, homebrewers have been told they have to choose. Do you want the quality of liquid yeast or the convenience of dry? Well, Cellar Science flipped the script. They're proving that dry yeast isn't just a backup plan anymore, it's the upgrade. Cellar Science offers premium dry yeast that delivers higher cell counts than typical liquid pitches, meaning you get a stronger, healthier fermentation without the hassle. And the best part? You can direct pitch right into your wort, no starters, no waiting, just brewing. Whether you need their new West Coast strain for a classic American IPA or jungle for a massive fruity estery flavor, they've got your next batch covered. It's quality yeast that doesn't break the bank. Save time, save money, and brew better beer with Cellar Science.
It does, and I love the smell of it. When my daughter was young, she would call it Stink Bomb Brewery. I go, "No, it smells good."
Stink bumper. That's hilarious. Yeah, my wife, she doesn't like any of the smell. Like, so when when we're mashing, it's oatmeal and it's great and it's wonderful. And when we add the hop additions, oh man, herbal and it's great. The aromatics, and when it's fermenting, all those, I try to get my wife and or kids like involved, and they're like, "Cool, Dad. That's cool. Cool.
Yeah, right.
Real cool. Real cool." But yeah, so real quick, what was the smash? Was it just a blonde or what were you brewing?
Yeah, it was 10 pounds of two-row, 2 ounces of Hallertauer Middle Brew, and that was it. And it's so clean. I was afraid it was gonna be kind of one-dimensional, but no, not at all. It's really, really, it cleared really quick, and it's just very drinkable. Yeah,
Middle
I was
Fru's
very.
all-time favorite
Oh, you
hop
ca I
for
mean,
me.
if right, if you gotta have 1 hop, that's if you
That's
only 1 hop to live with, that's the hop you're gonna live with. Yeah.
absolutely, because I could still make Kolsch. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
that's
Middle
right.
Fru. You could use it for alt. I know they use like Spalt usually or tradition, but Middle
Yeah.
Fru is so versatile. It's such
Yeah,
a good hop.
it's a noble hop, what
Yep.
the hey.
Yep. So, talking about the original plastic fermenter, what was in 1978 or 79 the available? There weren't brands that you. Again, we have established no internet, and even the
Yeah.
catalogs. Though it's not like equipment was specific for a brewer. Were you having to? Okay, I'm going to use this milk carboy, or I'm going to use this whatever. Like, how did you piece it together once you got bit by that bug?
This place offered and I tried to look up recently to see if they were still in business, but of course there's nothing on the internet about the fermenters there. I've still got 4 of them. A couple of them I just use for cleaning stuff. But yeah, and you know what they cost? They're 7 gallons. They cost $8. They cost $8. A
Whoa.
can of Muntenfeisen hopped with the yeast in it. I think it was 7.95.
that's
I mean,
that's incredible.
yeah, and, it was really and it really, let's face it, as you say many times, and I agree, it's the best time to be a home brewer because it's still an
Yeah.
inexpensive hobby, it doesn't have to be your own mini commercial brewery, you know? And it's fun,
It's
you
fun,
know?
and well, and like you said, it is what you make it, right? It is what you
Right,
make it.
exactly.
I am fortunate enough to have expensive gear, and I make mediocre beer with it. So, but you can still have a stock pot that you probably already own.
Yeah, yeah,
You can get malt extract for reasonably priced. You can make something on your stovetop using the oven, or pardon me, the stovetop that you already
yeah.
have. You don't, yeah, you can, this hobby can be, there's a very large spectrum of, like
Yes.
you said, there are people, not judging them, because I'm kind of on that side of the spectrum. Like Todd and James brewing on a 3-vessel Herms, right? Like
Yeah,
that is a micro brewery in
yeah,
essence. Or you could use the coolers, which are very affordable. And a lot of people use coolers that they still could use for their beer cans and camping trips. They don't actually drill ports into it. They just mash in there and then use a stock pot and whatever. Or you could go even simpler, yeah, and doing small batch, 1.5,
yeah.
2 gallon batches on the stovetop. It's an incredible time to be a home brewer.
And, I think one thing, Josh, is that concerns me, and like, everything is secular, so
Yeah.
who knows? But it just seems, get on Facebook Marketplace and see how many used homebrew stuffs are for sale. And it's some age out, or in other words, croak out, but some I think they just get into it and get out of it. But, to me, I would think that if you're looking for a hobby and you like beer, this is the greatest.
I agree. And I've said it before on a lot of other episodes. The community aspect of it is what I appreciate. Even though my pop and I aren't in a homebrew club proper, but getting to brew with my pop, that makes it totally
Oh,
worth it. You know, like
I mean,
the
Josh, that's such a blessing.
it
Believe
is.
me, in years to come,
Yeah.
that's a blessing.
Because if I didn't have him, who would clean? I mean, come on, let's be he watches this show. Got him. No, but like the camaraderie of brewing. So like
Exactly.
the hobbies I'm into, like jujitsu. The wrestling and the fitness of it is a perk, but the camaraderie and the community is the reason. Like that, I'm going there
Yeah,
four times a week. My neck doesn't appreciate me going 4 times a week, but like I train an hour and a half, and then I BS small talk for another 2 hours with my buddies, like
yeah,
the
yeah.
brewing beer. It is what you make it, but I would just sincerely hope that what most people make it is an enjoyable time to
It's fun.
hang
Yeah,
out with
right.
people. Yeah,
And
it's fun.
I'm not in a club either. I'm not really a joiner, but all the information is out there. And I'm in the Mash and Brew Facebook, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if you got a question, man, they're right back at you.
Yeah, and that is the benefit of living in 2026 with technology, right?
Oh, oh,
You have a question, and I'm not, a lot of people, I will browse Reddit and it's real popular. Like, I ran this through AI. That's fine, but you don't even have to
yeah,
run it through AI. You can run it
yeah,
through people with real experience
yeah,
on the subreddit or in a Facebook group or homebrewtalk.com. There are communities out there of people who've been brewing for 50 plus years or 45-ish years, and you can say like, hey, in your
yeah,
experience, well, how is long time conditioning in a basement? And you'd be like, well, actually, let me tell you, have
yeah.
I've had beer in here forever, and this is my experience, and da 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 da. Like that
Let me
trumps
tell you,
anything.
Josh, when I was heavy into it till about 1993, and then, whatever, I was out of it for almost 20 years. So when I got back into it, it's like I was in another planet. I mean, now, it's like 95% all grain with equipment that, when I was cleaning my stuff, it was with Clorox and cold water,
Yeah, yeah,
and it worked,
and it
but,
works. Yeah,
not exactly ideal, I it was just like, wow. It just I still had all my old kegs and stuff, and what about Trong? Is that the greatest invention in the last 10 years?
yeah. The
The,
floated.
floating dip tube?
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
it's
lord, I've got a dozen of them.
people think I get a kickback. That's how much I push it on this show, dude. They literally, people accuse me of like, oh, that's so gross. What, are you on the payroll for Tron? I was like, I
No.
wish. I need a
No, man,
job.
I tell you, it's a great item, and this guy's the American, dream
Yep.
come true. This is a success story, and he's a great guy.
Oh, it's so
But it's a
good.
fantastic,
Yep.
back in the day, I when I first got the kegs, they were from a guy who worked at a pizza shop. He goes to take them. He goes, they never count them. So, but they'd been put on with a machine, and I couldn't. They didn't have the connection that now you can take a pin lock off. Then it was like, let's see if I can fit a crescent wrench on it. Ow, I broke my knuckle. I skinned my. I could never get them off. So I had to reach down with a little small tube cutter, feel the bottom of the dip tube, and cut like three-quarters of an inch off. Uh, and I never could get until I got back into it like 8, 10 years ago, I could never get those damn things off. I had to wrestle those things to the ground with a huge, a pipe. But yeah, so that's
Oh, that's
and
so
I
funny.
never made a bad batch of beer.
Well,
I
and
was just lucky,
I
I'm
was gonna
sure.
I was gonna ask you, what was the very first batch you brewed that you were like, "Oh, this is good, and I gotta keep doing it." Was it batch number 1,
It
or was
it
it
was
like
batch number 1, and I'm telling you, if it had not have been prepared, I don't know what I would have or if it had been not good,
yeah,
but it was good, and there's another thing for people that don't can hardly realize. 1978, 79, there's no such thing as a microbrewery. There's no such thing as a brew pub. Imports were, like, limited to this was pre-Heineken. It was like, you may get St. Pauli Girl and, one other one. So, there was such not a good variety of things around. So, as my palate matured, I don't know, but I still think that if I had that original batch, it would still taste good.
what was it? What was the first
It
batch you
was
brewed?
Muntenfeisen
Oh, you said that
light
the yeah.
hopped. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it
and
pre-hopped extract.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still pre-hop their extract, don't they?
But
I
not
don't
very it's hard to find one that's
Okay.
pre-hopped 'cause I've looked for them, and it's like but they're kind of expensive for some reason.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
everything,
you
brother.
know
Everything's expensive.
yeah, and if I'm gonna do and I've got about 6 pounds of, DME that I'm gonna make mini mash, stuff, but I like the dried malt extract better than the liquid for whatever reason. I just think it doesn't have quite that tang to it, so but
How
it's to each his own. I've
to
made
each
good
their own.
batches with liquid.
How has your brewing personally evolved? I know you said you took like a 20-year break. So let's just say
Yeah,
let's start with, the 70s through the night to the early 90s before you take a break. When you got back into it, was it I'm going to go back to how I remember like riding the
yeah,
bike, I'm just going to
yeah,
do it that way, or
yeah,
did you
yeah.
also fall for the marketing that's, people like me in the industry did like, "No, you need this shiny thing and you need this." Like how when you got back into it, what that looked like?
When I got back into it, this will kill you because I still had a 20-year-old can of malt extract that I thought, "Well, the can looks good, let's use this." And of course, the so-called brewery was a mess, so I was back up to the kitchen, with bottling with, beer all over the floor. Uh, and I realized when I tasted it, I go, "Well, it's kinda tastes like raisins, it doesn't taste like beer." So then I realized, come on, you got to get fresh ingredients if nothing else. So then it was like, okay, you're going to get back into let's do it right. You got kegs. One of the kegs that I had in the basement still had 20-year-old beer in it.
No.
Did I drink it? No,
No, of course
but
not.
yeah, of course not. But when I took the lid off, it still smelled like beer. Of course, it'd been under pressure for 20 years,
Yeah.
I guess. But I quickly realized if I was going to get back into it, come on, I got the kegs. Uh, I had a really nice single, stage kegerator that was an old Coca-Cola cooler, a standalone, really nice from the '50s. I had sold that, so, I had to go buy a little one, and I had to, get the CO2 tank, inspected, and I got right back into it. I got back into it, cleaned the kegs out, and let's kinda jump up. Still doing extract and specialty grains, but then when the standalones came, the all-in-ones, I thought, this doesn't look hard. This looks like it's doable. So I bought a mash and boil unit that I've used ever since. In fact, a few months ago, I made a rookie mistake, and regardless of what it was. But anyway, I thought I'd wrecked it. So rather than buy a new one, my wife said, "Well, get on Facebook." See, God, there was another mash and boil that was like 20 miles away for 75 bucks. So now I
What?
got two of them. Yeah, now I got two of them.
$75?
Yeah,
I would have
yeah,
shipped it to Texas at that price. I would have paid $100 in
yeah,
shipping, but still,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
cheap.
and so, and since then, it's been basically all grain, but if I see a deal on a kit, like 25 bucks or something, I gotta buy it,
In
But the problem
principle.
is, Josh, I don't have, nobody in the band drinks beer. My wife doesn't drink beer. I will give her, if I something, I say, "Taste this, what do you think?" I do have, my accountant drinks beer and a couple of people I walk the dog with, so I got some outlets for it, but I'd brew every day if I could.
So, my pop and I have a drinking problem too, that we're not drinking fast enough. And,
Yeah, that's
like I was posting photos of me enjoying some of our Japanese rice lager, which,
yes.
God,
I saw with a cigar and ice.
I don't remember when I brewed that, July or August,
Yeah.
and or maybe, but someone messaged. We did a 10-gallon batch, and I was like, oh yeah, we're at the end of this the last keg. But the reality is, if my parents aren't hosting something, which they host like 3 things a year, not a ton, my
Yeah.
pop and I have a 10-ounce pour or maybe two 10-ounce pours on a Sunday together out on his patio. It takes a while to go through a fiver when you're only drinking
Yeah.
40 ounces on a Sunday. I'm not good at
Yeah.
math. Somebody can do the math for me, be like, actually, Josh, it'll take you approximately 14 Sundays or whatever. But it is, this episode is brought to you by brewersfriend.com. Brewing beer at home isn't just about ingredients, it is about precision. And that's where brewersfriend.com comes in. Whether you're dialing in your first recipe or perfecting your 100th, Brewer's Friend gives you the tools to brew with confidence. Their recipe builder, mash calculators, and water profile database helps take the guesswork out of the process so you can focus on what matters: making great beer. Brewer's Friend isn't just software, it's a community of passionate homebrewers sharing recipes, tips, and feedback. It's like having a homebrew club right in your pocket. Head over to brewersfriend.com today and take your homebrewing to the next level. Use promo code Happy Hour and get 25% off your premium membership. That's brewersfriend.com, because brewing better starts with better tools. Thankfully, I do have a lot of beer drinkers in my life, and lately I've been giving growlers away.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell, it's not a group chat, but I'll individually message certain people. Hey man, I need to make space in my teaser because we did a brew day live. I got a keg. Like when I need a keg this Pliny the Elder, I will have like the Shinerbot clone, one of those fivers. Yeah. Hey, who wants some Shinerbot clone? Bring your growler, I'll fill it up for you. Take it,
Me
send
me
you home.
too, and I've got so many bottles. People give me their growlers, and I've got 12-ounce bottles that are 50 years when there was a real bottle, when those
Yes.
things were real. I've got probably 20 quart brown bottles that I mean, these are bottles, really bottles, but, I can't pass them up. Somebody wants to get rid of them, I'm taking them even though I don't use them. But, yeah, I give same thing with friends. I'd fill up and take them to have at it. Just give me the bottle back when you're done.
When you were starting to brew, what was there in your area? Because I know West Coast and East Coast seem to always be for brewing and for craft beer, kind of the meccas, the hubs rather, right? I guess there can only be one mecca, but the hubs of like, yeah, homebrewing's been strong in a community, this or that. In your local area, was there any kind of community, or did it take a while? Did you ever notice, oh wow, other people in a 50-mile radius are doing the same thing I'm doing?
When I started, I think there was a homebrew club in Syracuse, which is about 20 miles away. There was a homebrew store that I think was around when I started, just closed last year. It was a
Oh,
shame because, I mean, they're closing
yeah,
microbrews are closing everywhere.
yes.
Uh, I tried to buy, all my grains and stuff like that from local place, but evidently just not enough. And like anything, Josh, if you're going to be in that business, you have to be aggressive on it, and you have to have a website. It has to be up to date. Let people know what you've got, what's available. It can't just be a storefront and I've got the goods. You got to get at it. But it's sad uh, because it's a good it's a good hobby.
Yeah.
And when I started out, I became a zealot. Anybody like beer, I'm trying to convince them to be a home brewer, and Some worked, some didn't. But I did. My dad brewed for a couple of batches, but he was a Black Label guy. That was his beer of choice, and so, and he was gardening. That was his hobby. So, but he tried it for me.
I love it. We find our hobbies as men, right? That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we do.
exactly.
Brewing and cigars for me is objectively
Oh yeah.
probably way worse than gardening would have been. But too
Yeah.
bad, Mom. I'm going
Well,
to do
you
what I
can
want
have
to do.
cigars year round in Texas. Here,
That's right.
I it's got to choose the weather.
Well, see,
And even then, now of course my wife says, "Hey, you're a singer. You should be smoking cigars." I don't inhale them. It's not like I smoke them like cigarettes.
thank
But
you. I'm not even a
yeah.
singer, but I'm going to start using that. Yeah, for my raspy voice, my start croning.
But Josh, what I would throw this question out to the viewers and listeners. How would you get more people into this hobby? Uh, I don't know the answer to that, and there's got to be a way. Maybe somebody's got some answers that we haven't thought of.
Yeah, I've over the years through the podcast and through the community have done my best, and the Brew Day Live is, I think, my Pop and I's best effort at showing people how fun a brew day can be. And let me add some context. When we do the Brew Day Live, sometimes a lot of it seems like we're just sitting around and watching paint dry as we argue about things that don't matter. I'm like, but that's what's fun to us, guys. That is what we're doing, because that's what's fun to us. Like
you're spending time with your dad.
Yeah.
Come on,
And what I'd say too, though, in the same breath, and this is not popular with like AHA or whatever. At the end of the day, I don't personally invest too much emotion into growing the hobby, because I know I'm always going to do it. It's like with jujitsu for me, because that's the only thing I can relate to, because I only have two hobbies in my life. My wife limits me to two hobbies. I gave up video game after I picked up jujitsu. I had to just only two. It's like Sith. There can only be two at one time in my life. So with jiu-jitsu, I would love it if every single person in the Central Texas area was training, whether it's at my gym or someone else's gym. I would love that. But at the end of the day, if they don't, fine. I'm going to keep doing it because I love it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. And the community is there. With homebrewing, sort of the same approach, where I want to get out as much info as I can through the podcast. I want to interview pros and industry people and just regular everyday homebrewers to show how inclusive homebrewing truly is. Everybody from every background should be brewing, because it's not like brewing is not political. It's not, you know what I mean?
Like, exactly.
That's what I mean. Like and again, I'm bringing it back to jiu-jitsu. I roll with cops. I roll with communists. I roll with Republicans and Democrats. Nobody cares when you're on the mats wrestling.
Yeah.
Same with homebrewing. It's not, it is.
What's to argue about?
What's there to argue about? Now, don't get me wrong. Get a few in me and I might, I might troll you. Yeah. I don't have firm beliefs on a lot of politics, but I will troll you. But where I'm going with it is like, it's not this exclusive club to do. And I will, I'll give people this counterpoint, because that's how I like to argue in my head in the shower. Like, I argue this, and here's how I would counter that. If you value your time and if you do the math, yeah, okay, maybe it is cheaper to go down and buy a 6-pack or whatever. But what's the fun in that?
Right.
Like, what's the enjoyment? Yeah.
It's the thing is, it's creative. And if people like to cook, they'll like to brew, and it's not just a guy thing. There's plenty of women out there that are home brewers. In fact, the history of home brewing started with women.
Just about
the women
to say
would be the ones that were doing it.
They were, and women were.
And as usual, they probably do it better than men.
Yeah. Well, let's take it easy. Listen here. I'm a man, and I'm the best brewer. Hold on, I'm hearing in my ear another 1-star review coming through the podcast from Dragonfly Lady. No, I'll get us back on track, because I know I value your time, and I appreciate that. I know, but I appreciate that you let me digress so much. I'm just so intrigued, because when I talked with people who were in the early days, like, I don't know if you caught the Vinny Chilurzo interview that I did from Russian River Brewing. Dude, he before we recorded, he was willing to talk for forever, and after we were done, and on the show, what I was able to capture, like, just the man, the good old days of like, you went down to the shop and oh, what is this new hop? It's from New Zealand. Oh my, you know what I mean? Do you remember those times of like, did that influence what you were going to brew, or were you a planner of like, no,
Well,
I want to
no, it
brew
was. Let
something?
me just. I thought my dog was out there. He never comes down here, but it was just
Oh,
something else.
oh, you're good.
No, no, I kind of now, because now one thing about getting old, you know what you like and you know what you don't like.
Yeah.
So I'm not a hophead. I like them to be around anywhere between 4.5 to 5.5% alcohol, and I like them on the lighter side. Although the color doesn't bother me, like the Shiner Bock. Now that's a that's a good beer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love it. I'm assuming, I think it distributes to all 50 states. I'm
I
pretty
got
sure.
it. You had your recipe up there, I went to a local supermarket and picked up a 6 pack of it because I hadn't had it in a long time. I thought, wow, that's a good beer.
And for us in Texas, they were the original craft,
Yeah.
and their story of just being able to be around forever. And
Oh,
and Greg, Greg, their brewmaster, Greg Hebner, super nice guy, but he couldn't relate to the home brewing side because his pop was a brewmaster.
yeah,
He always
yeah.
grew, and I thought that perspective was funny because he was like, as an adult and being on like a shift brewer or in the cellars, he's like, why would I go home and brew? I have all the access to good beer, right?
Yeah, that's an
Where
interesting take on
it
stuff.
is, where Vinny though was like, oh my God, I was brewing all the time and this and that. And then, get a commercial brewery and I was scaling my recipes. And that's again to say there is no more diverse of a hobby, or pardon
Yeah,
me, I'll say I can't think of any off the top of my head than home brewing, because it is what you make it in regards to budget, in regards to actually production, what you're brewing, even in packaging. Believe it or not, there's weirdos out there who prefer bottling and canning, and they're like, Josh,
I know.
you're missing out,
I
pal.
know.
Like, no.
I used to say that there's a Zen quality to bottling, but that is overridden by the tedious cleaning.
Yeah, that was you just being nice. Come on.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I've bottled one batch and I start so if I'm being technical, I've been in the industry almost 18 years. When Todd first hired me, May 12th, 2008, he brewed at his house in that June or July. He was home off of a work trip because he had a full-time job at the time. This was in his house out of his backyard.
Yeah.
And he brewed was it a porter or a brown? I think it was a brown. I don't think it was a porter, but showing me it was extract with steeping grains, so mini mash,
Yeah, yeah.
and on his stovetop right there in the kitchen. And I just remember being like, I wasn't even really drinking at the time. I was 22, just turned 22, and was like, yeah, come on, man. If we want to drink, let's go down to like we'll go get some good beer. I don't. What's funny to think about too, back then, I remember thinking old man about him. He was 40 when I started working for him, and I'm 40 now. He objectively looked better at 40 than I do right now. When I tell people that I turned 40, they're like, "You've been 40 for a decade. What are you talking about?" But anyways, where I'm going with this is, so been exposed to brewing for a very long time, 18-ish years. And I still, like I said earlier, I never get tired of the learning process. But I've also found myself in the groove of, I always want a Kolsch on tap, or I'd like to have a lager, like rice lagers is been my thing for the last year and a half or year. And I'll tell you, man, I would be a happy guy with those things. And then maybe an experimental stuff because of the Brew Day Lives we're doing. The double IPA that we're going to produce, not my thing. I'm ready to be wowed by it though, right?
Yeah, 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 right.
Or I'm ready to
Yeah,
give it away. But
yeah.
but
You're trying it,
but I'm
yeah.
trying it. Do you think, like in the early days, and even present day, but let's start with the early days, were you brewing because of the ingredients available to you, or like, is that what determined the style?
It was basically, do you want light extract, amber extract, or dark extract? And
That was it.
do you want it hopped or plain? That's basically was it. And the other alternative to Munton and Fison was John Bull. I don't even think John Bull is around anymore.
No,
That was
no.
very popular at the time. Uh, I a couple of places that I used to get extract from. I couldn't find anything on the internet about them now, like they never existed. So yeah, it was basically what flavor of extract do you want?
Did the
That was all.
hops?
It was already hopped,
Okay.
and here's another thing with hops. Jesus, I used to get Cascade hops that were in a dried brick. They were yellow. They were terrible. I mean, so now hops are like, oh man. But in the early '80s, hops came alive. I mean, you could get good pellets, a bunch of different varieties. But
You know what's incredible? Again, best time ever, my friends, to be alive as a home brewer. I don't say it enough, even though I say it all the time. Hopsterette, which, here's a plug. This show is brought to you by Hopsterette. But even then,
yeah,
any retailer you want, but I would go to hopsterette.com because we're doing this Pliny kit and it has 8 different hop varieties, right? I know, it's monstrous. I'm telling you, people, I had to apologize to Patreon members, like, guys, I'm a one-man show. I joke about child labor. My children don't respect me. They didn't help me with this kit. I tried. And my wife just looked at me like, I have a full-time job. And I was like, that was low. That was low. That hurt. But it took me forever to bag these hops. But every bag I'd pull the Simcoe. Dude, they're sending me as fresh, so the 2025 crop, that's what I got for all 8. And Hopsterette is always sending me what they can. But sometimes out of necessity, hey, Joshua, I've got Goldings, but it's the 2024. Do you mind? Of course I don't mind. Y'all are the best people ever. Every single thing was so fresh. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like you said, there was a time in home brewing as a hobby, you took what you got.
that's right. What's there?
Beggars cannot be choosers, and now we can choose. Like if you want whatever kind of different kinds of extracts, there's a way more extracts. Liquid, or you want dry? You want liquid?
Yeah,
it's incredible. Specialty grains. It doesn't matter. Like, I think Americans with groceries, and I'm being self-deprecating as an American, we forget that we're not that far detached from when seasons were a thing for availability. Because my kids can go to the store and get strawberries. And I don't even know when strawberries are in season because HEB has them every day of the week of the year. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's amazing. And again, I wish there was a way that we could get more people into the hobby. And I don't know what the numbers are. I mean, maybe there's just as many in there as there was 10 years ago. I don't know. But when you see homebrew shops closing down, when you see microbrewing, and better than I do, but I'm on a mailing list every week. A brewery is closing down, auctioning their stuff up.
Yeah.
But that's natural. Oversaturation.
So it happens.
Yeah.
I would say there's factors. I will start the Homebrew Happy Economics Hour when I understand economics better.
Yeah. Right.
But I do what you're saying because here, tell me if I'm wrong, but here's what I think the premise is. When more people are involved, then there's more availability. Because what I will say, the worst case scenario, if the hobby truly nosedives into the ground, it's gonna lead to higher costs because of consolidation. If all your grains are having to be shipped to you, and if anyone's ever had grains shipped to them, it hurts, dude. It hurts. I don't know of retailers that do free shipping on grains because it hurts them. It's not like that. It's not like these retailers. I love the guys at More Beer. I don't know the guys at Northern anymore when they went through all the venture capital. I have no idea who runs Northern now, but I can speak on the web, on the online ones. The keg outlet guys who run kegconnection.com now, they're wonderful people. They don't actually do ingredients because the cost to ship it on them, they can't pass that buck, right? It's like shipping 10 these recipe kits, dude. This is a heavy kit. I was trying to tell people the Patreon is not a moneymaker this month, pal. It is so expensive to get these boxes that are 12 by 12 by 8 or whatever to shove all the stuff in there. It's a 17-pound box by the end of this thing, and you go do the quote, and it's like, oh, no problem, that'll be $27 or whatever. Like, whoa, I only got $40 for it. No! I got to get
It,
better at math, but
even with my book, um, it the hardcover book, it cost media mail $5.22 just to send out one book. You know,
yeah,
you got to pass it along somehow. You can't eat it, but
I know.
shipping is killing everybody.
Which, by the way, I appreciate that copy of the book. It's I'm so before when you sent it to me, it was right before I left for St. Louis. I was gonna take it with me. Believe it or not, all my production gear. I had no room in my bag for anything. So, but when I got back, I picked it back up. I'm probably a fourth of the way through, a third of the way. So I'm not far. I'm not deep in it. But we just segue into that. Let's talk. I did at the top of the show. I did mention published author. I am not a liar. Mr. Joe Whiting wrote a
Yeah,
book. Saxophones, microphones.
I'll give you a quick visual of it.
Yeah. He's gonna grab that. It is Saxophones, Microphones, and Broken Bones, a memoir. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. And Buried Bones, not Broken Bones.
And Buried Bones.
Buried Bones. Thank you for correcting me. I'll put a link. It's on Amazon or is it not? You have to.
No, you got to go to my I've got a secure website. It's joewhitingmusic.com. I send everything out myself. I sign everything. I ship it in a cardboard container. So when you buy a new book, it should be looking like a new book, not putting it in a bag and banging it around. I've gotten really very humbling comments on it. I mean, and I won't spoil the ending, but I don't die in it. So,
Spoiler.
But it's my story of my kind of my life, my career, and like I said, I've been getting very nice comments. It's a memoir, it's
Yeah.
not fiction. Everything is. I tell people it's the truth. It may not be the whole truth, but everything in there is true.
I loved, like I said, what I've read so far, because I read the prequel and all the stuff you've written and all that, and even the what people have said about you is so endearing, and people who know you, that it makes sense why they say that stuff. But your music, and like you said, people can see more at joewhitingmusic.com. The links will be in the show notes below. And I think I did this in 2021 when I had you on. At some point, I'm going to have a break in this episode to play my favorite song of yours of all time. Try to be careful. I think I've told you that.
Try to be careful.
Oh.
And I'm so glad that you picked up on that song, because as a parent yourself, that's what I wrote it, co-wrote it for my daughter. And I think it holds up well. I think it's my wife's favorite song too.
Dude, it is so good. It's almost like I've shown it to my fans. So you sent me the book, which I appreciate, and you included a CD, which is the coolest thing ever. Now I find my kids, it's such a relic. It's so funny when the book arrived. It's like, wait, what? They're like, what did he send you? They thought it was a DVD.
What is this?
Yeah, and I'm shocked they even remember what DVDs are. But they're like, did he give you a DVD? I don't know, baby. It's a CD. Because newer cars, some of them don't even have CD players, Joe. It's crazy.
No, mine doesn't. I used to listen to a lot like that.
Mine,
crazy.
Even
the computer doesn't have.
I know
one.
they don't have optical drives. I drive a very economical, middle-aged, lesbian-friendly Subaru Forester, so I have a CD player. My Subaru came with the Melissa Etheridge CD, I think. But anyway, so I took that out. I took out "Come to My Window" and I put in Joe Whiting, and I played it for my oldest daughter. She loved that song because it's on the CD you gave me. It's like track 4 or 5. And I scrubbed to it and played it, and she thought it sounded like Randy Newman. She goes, it sounds almost like from Toy Story. And I was like, I could get that. Your voice doesn't sound like Randy Newman, but the cadence. I was like, okay, but that's a compliment.
That's interesting.
That's a compliment.
Hey, a compliment to be compared to Randy Newman. That's a high compliment.
That's what I mean. That's what I think too. But all your music though. When you took that break from brewing, was it more or less a career thing because of having to focus down on touring and all that, or was it other stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just, you're doing I mean, at the time I was doing 150 plus dates with the band. I was working about 30 hours a week with my dad as a carpenter, playing in a recreational softball league, and trying to be a halfway decent dad and husband. And so, yeah, it's not like didn't like doing it anymore. Just other things. And like I said, I kept all my stuff. I kept all the brewing stuff. Of course, now the stuff is updated, but yeah. So basically, it wasn't that I stopped liking it. I just stopped doing it.
I think that this is a good clip to show people there's always time to come back. If you were brewing and you took a break because life gets in the way, home brewing is always there. Again, bringing it back to jujitsu, we have
Yeah.
guys that I've known. I've been training for almost 15 years, and there are guys who will train for like a few months, and then life happens, and we don't see them for a year. But then they come back, and everyone's like, "Dude, it's so great to have you back." And they'll be back for a few months, and then maybe they're gone. It's okay. We're not all on that same trajectory, and not to romanticize homebrewing, because let's be real, it's me and my pop smoking cigars and making booze, right? That's what it is. 80 years ago, I would be a criminal, but that is what it is. But where I'm going with it is like, if they feel discouraged, like, golly, oh, I don't even know where to start again. I haven't brewed in a decade or
Well,
whatever. You start where you left off.
yeah.
You to do that.
And there's a gazillion YouTube videos. There's a gazillion, get online. You'll get right back, led right back into it with no problem.
And I'll give a shout out. I might have to fact check myself, but online retailers, I want to say first, obviously support your local mom and pop shops.
Yeah,
If you don't
without a doubt.
like, to always go there, but your local mom and pop shops might stock some of these things. But I know, like, what I do appreciate specifically about the dudes at More Beer with home brewing, they have every option of recipe kit in
Yeah.
regards to extract, mini mash, all grain. They even have some like these fast brew ones where
Flash
the
brewing.
flash
I,
brewing it blows
I've
my
done them,
mind.
Josh.
How
I
did it
have
turn
done
out?
several of them, and I got to tell you, first I just had to try it. Just, what is this possible? I'm frozen on my screen, which I don't care. Am I frozen on your screen too?
No, you look great. No, you're looking good.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, and I gotta tell you, a couple of them were really good. And you wanna talk about a quick brew day? How about talk like 15
Well,
minutes? 15 minutes.
Flash Brewing Pilsner 5-gallon recipe kit at morebeer.com. I think I have an affiliate code, so I might get money. Hey, maybe I have to tell people, oh, I get paid if y'all use my links, but I get paid if y'all use my links. $40. It would be free shipping for $79, so it's not free
Yeah,
shipping.
which
But
you got to add on,
yeah,
but it's okay.
10
It's
minutes
something
to
else.
brew is what it
Yeah,
says, Joe. It says
yeah.
10 minutes to brew.
And you know what? I'd never had a clear fermenter until about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Wow. You want to talk about I I'd never realized what goes on inside the fermenter until you can see
Yeah.
what that yeast
Oh,
working.
that's why
Wow.
I love my Firmzilla for that reason. Now, I have to, I don't have it near the window enough, and it's covered because obviously UV is a beer's worst friend, right? It's its greatest
Yeah.
enemy. But besides that little caveat, where guys, yeah, if you're using a clear vessel, be careful with light exposure and all that. But it's so cool watching the fermentation process of them just going to work and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
I
it's
mean, they're
so fun.
working.
It's so fun. But yeah, this flash brew, I'll put a link in it for people interested, because I bring it up because time, brewing can be a commitment for the brew
Yeah.
day. It can
Yeah.
be like my pop and I, if I count all the time I prepare for it, not counting the camera gear and stuff, because we always live stream, just the literal brew. Okay, we're doing a 10-gallon batch. I usually have to collect 15 gallons of RO. Or so if I don't collect it with my RO here, I'd have to go buy it. That takes time. So let's just say collecting it here and all that is a half-hour process, not a big deal, because of how long it takes for my system to make that much. I have a 8.5-gallon reservoir, and then it takes a while, whatever. I'll round down. It's half an hour for that. The prep and all that. The actual brew day itself, we mash in usually at 9, and we're done with everything by 2. But we set that time aside. But I can understand where people are like, dude, I have a job, I have this or that, I can't do that. And on Saturday, my kids have dance class, or my kids, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Without a doubt, what I've done recently, is I will mash the grain, or I will mill the grains the night before. I will fill the mash and boil with the strike water, and I've got the stove down there, so I'll fill with the sparge water. So that's all ready. In the morning when I get up, I'll turn the mash and boil on. I'll go do my exercises, check my email, and before I walk the dog, I'll mash in. And by the time I get back from walking the dog, it's ready to sparge, turn the sparge water on. So you're spending the same amount of time, but it's not all in one block.
Joe, see, this is why I liked having you on the show, man. You're smarter than me. Where it reminds me, there was a show, The Office, where they would say like, okay, for every hour as a desk worker, you need to get up and stretch for 1 minute, and then every hour you need to get up and he's doing the math, and he's like, so we're doing all this stuff. They're like, no, you do it at the same time. You don't. They're not separate times. They do them all at the same time. But brewing, yeah, this flash brew, maybe, you know what? I need to hit them up and see if they'll send me one.
Yeah, you check it out, because talking about getting new brewers into it, really, they recommend buying either spring water or distilled water, which I did because I wanted to follow the directions.
Right.
But like I said, you are literally pouring this stuff in. They have a little thing called a hop shot, which is an injection of a liquid hop thing, and they have a dry hop. Uh, but you're literally done. Of course, it's got to ferment at the time, but you're literally done with a brew day in 15 minutes.
I wonder if this is their approach towards stuff like Pinter or Mr. Beer, where, you know what I mean? Where some people get turned off from those because of, the contraptions.
Right, because they're kind of gimmicky.
Yeah,
This is not gimmicky.
That's what I mean.
You're using a fermenter. And yeah, I was impressed. I really was.
Do you remember which one you did? I'm looking at Pilsner because that's what got my eyes, but
I did the Pilsner. It's I preferred, what's that, the best buddies or something. The two hops that go together good. Whatever. I think it's his best buddies,
like
something like that.
Citra and
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah,
Oh, the two
I
C's,
thought that was
like
better because it had a little more flavor.
Man, this isn't. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because hey, maybe you answered your own question. You could like if people thought that they could make good beer in 10 minutes or less, maybe they'd be more apt to try it.
It's an entry, it's a gateway into it, because as
It
you
is.
said, it's going to be what you make it. You're going to if that's good for you, that's great. You
Yep.
can still make good beer. If you just want to do extract, that's great. You can make good beer. But if you want to go deeper into it, you can go as deep as you want to go.
Dude, they have even 2-gallon kits that are like $20.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Hey, and that's another thing that I to prepare for the future. I got a smoking deal on 3 used 2.5-gallon uh, stainless steel kegs. Oh yeah, $25 a piece.
No way.
Yeah, 20, and they look like they've never been used. I had to drive 40 miles to get them, but that's all right. They're on Facebook Marketplace. So, because I'm thinking same thing. Hey, when am I going to be able to stop lifting 5 gallons of beer? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
so and for doing smaller batches, because like I say, I would brew every day if I had the outlet to give the beer away.
Yeah.
But so we got to have a smaller batch, and I like the process of it. I really do. I don't even mind the cleaning.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
that's stretching it, but
I'll just say I have to ask my dad about how the cleaning goes. Every brew day when he starts cleaning, I'm like, "What's that? My phone, Dad. I'll be right back. I think there's an emergency."
I'll be right back.
That's why we don't live stream the cleaning part, because then people will call me out. They'd be like, your pop did all the work on the brew too. You just stood in front of the camera and you acted like you could juggle. Like, I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. I got so caught up on these flash brews. Those are interesting.
Yeah, check it out.
I will.
Last year, I think I sent a voicemail into you guys about that, but I was ignored.
Did I reuse it? I didn't use it, did I?
No, it's all right.
Yeah, I'm a bad friend. Talking about deals real quick, because it made a keg deal too, and more beer. While just plugging more beer for free. I don't know if you know about those torpedo kegs that they carry, that they make. If you've ever seen them,
I've got one. I bought a 6-gallon one to do pressure fermenting. So yeah.
My pop. You want to talk about a scorching deal, dude? My pop at an estate sale. There was a coffee shop that was getting rid of their torpedo kegs. He got 6 of them for like $5 a piece. I think,
No. Oh,
yeah,
man.
they had no idea what they're getting rid of. I love it because
Oh, yeah.
every time we keg, our primary keg is a torpedo keg,
Wow.
and they're brilliant.
They're nice kegs.
They're so nice. I like them a lot. I don't know what they retail for brand new. I think they're like $1.25 maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's I think what I paid, like a buck 25, buck 29,
let's
something like
see,
that.
torpedo keg. Yeah, 120, 120
Yeah,
for oh, that's for the 2.5
6
gallon.
gallon.
So
Oh,
the 5 gallon is 150.
yeah, that's I think you're I think the 6 gallon was even more. It could be 170.
Yeah, on their website they have a 1.5, a 2.5, and a 5.
Oh,
Right
really?
now,
They
yeah.
don't have the 6 gallon anymore.
No, they must have changed it. When I always wondered too how like the ones we have, I think are 5 gallon, but they're like 5 point something to the brim, just like a quote unquote normal corny keg is. And I'm like,
Yeah,
how do they keep this low profile head like that and the volume? Because it's not that much wider. It's not like a
yeah.
Pinlock keg in width, but it's magic. Again, above my pay grade. I'm not a smart person, so I can't try to understand things I don't know. But anyways, I took us all over the place. We're almost hitting the hour mark, and I want to kind
Yeah.
of tie up some loose ends of you as a brewer and your time invested in this hobby and the wisdom you've gotten from it. Has the scene ever been as doom and gloom as it is now? Are you concerned about anything in that regards? And what do you see for your like fun prediction of home brewing fads? Like, do you think IPAs are out the door or whatever? But let's talk about again like your thoughts on the current state of home brewing and if it's ever been like this before.
Well, let's face it, IPAs are big now and sours and whatever. They don't I think ultimately for a brew pub or microbrewer, you have to have, I like to say this, a beer that tastes like beer, only better. In other words, you wanna have that blonde, that the pale ale or whatever, because that's where if you wanna get people into microbreweries or even home brewing, start them where they're comfortable. Don't say, "You gotta try this sour, it's 12%, you're gonna love it," and they're puking. Uh, so I would think, I don't try to be doom and gloom because there's always gonna be people who are homebrewing because there's always the do-it-yourself people that's what they wanna do. Uh, I think you're just oversaturated. There's no question about it that people are gonna say, "Well, I can go down to the corner and get a home brew or a microbrewery. I can go stop at the gas station and buy a craft brew." It's everywhere, but again, that's gonna wash out. The products that aren't really right at the top, they're gonna wash out.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. Where you can always if you're making it, you can control it. You can do whatever you want. So, again, I get back on that zealot thing, but, I'm just a believer. I'm a believer. I would say to people and of course, we're preaching to the choir because everybody that's listening is a
Is a
homebrewer,
home
but
brewer.
if you know somebody that maybe you'd be, open to it, give them a shot, have them over and have a beer and see, "You like this? You can make it."
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, and I'll add to like one things I like about Trong is his optimism, but also
Oh, yeah.
his willingness to pivot because the thing with the yeast farmer, which they're all inside, I can't show it on the camera. I don't have one in here. Where he's like, hey guys, as a home brewer, making steel cut oatmeal this way is home brewing, and let me show you
Yeah.
why it's good
Yeah.
for you, and this and that, and like because after the show, I talk to Trong weekly, and if you let him, it'll be a 4-hour conversation. And
He's enthusiastic.
he is, and lately I've had more time on my hands, so I'm like, you know what? I'll put Chong on speaker.
Let's
I'm
talk.
gonna go bag some hops and have Chong on speakerphone. But he's like, Josh, what you have to focus on, we have to pivot because home brewing is like to get people more involved. It's other things too, and beer is a part of it. And you can get them into making beer when you show them how versatile any kind of fermentation or how fun, like
Yeah. Yeah.
kombucha or kimchi or sauerkraut or sourdough bread or or even just DIY stuff. He goes, you have friends and you have family and there's strangers in your neighborhood who a lot of people are DIYers because of that fulfillment they get. It feels good good to make something with my
Yeah.
hands and this and
Doing it
that.
yourself.
And he's like, but if they're not into beer or they are not quite yet, there's some kind of veil that they think is between them and I'm a Michelob drinker or whatever. And,
I know.
but he's like, but you could get them in through other ways. Like his homebrewing
Yeah.
is versatile and flowing. It's not just come make beer. That's homebrewing.
And you can still be a Michelob drinker
Absolutely.
too. I'm a Utica Club drinker too.
Oh
But
man, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's and your dad's got a favorite beer too. Which one is it?
Lone Star, the national
Lone
beer of
Star,
Texas.
For sure. You don't have to give up your favorite. You're just augmenting your palate.
Oh, when Todd tried my Japanese rice lager, he called it a Michelob, and I was like, that's kind of a compliment, okay? Because everybody, a lot of young people love Michelob. Maybe to get young people into the hobby, I need to give them my Japanese rice lager, and they'd say, "Bro, we can make Michelob," and I say, "Yeah, come over to my house, let's make Michelob, whatever." But yeah, getting people into the hobby. If people who are watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, leave a comment below what you think about the state of the industry. If you have ideas that we didn't cover,
love to hear it. That's right. I'd love to hear comments.
Or even better, call them in to 325-305-6107. But Joe can vouch for you. I'm probably not going to use it because I'm a bad person.
It's all right.
Dude, I appreciate your time. The book, Saxophones, Microphones, and Buried Bones, available right now only at joewhitingmusic.com. That's JOEWHITING music.com. You can also check out all his music. I am gonna, if I didn't already inject it into the show, because now I have to do post-production editing, Joe. It's the worst. But if I didn't already inject the song, my favorite song of his of all time, and I have a top 10. I could have went through that. Number 1 is Try to Be Careful. But my favorite song ever, Try to Be Careful. I'm gonna inject it at some point in the show, maybe right now.
Try to be careful if you can. The ways of the world can drive you mad. There's so many things we don't understand. So try to be careful if you can. Try to be loving, find a way. Life is too short to be wasting a day. The sun's gonna shine if you give it a chance. So try to be careful if you can. I thought love was just for fun, played for laughs, and I had some. But every game has got one rule. You win sometimes, then sometimes you lose. I'm not preaching, I'm just being me. Someone who loves you, and I'll always be there if you need me. That's part of the plan. Try to be careful if you can. The sun's gonna shine if you give it a chance. So just try to be careful if you can.
or maybe you already did it. But go check out all his music there. I'm assuming most of your gigging lately has been in Central New York. Like you're not touring right now.
It's exactly. I'm not really. The travel is such a pain in the neck. It doesn't really even interest me. See, that's a young man's game.
I love it. Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna get the band back together, Joe. I'm gonna do it. But I appreciate your time, brother, and always your willingness to reach out, be encouraging and optimistic. It's infectious.
It's always a pleasure, Josh. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it, man.